We are at our start time now, so I'll call this meeting to order. This is our January regular meeting. Today's January 19th, 2023, at 5:30 p.m. Vice Chair, please call roll.
Williams.
Here.
Ryan Conway.
Present.
Ryan present. Bill Goins.
Present.
Bradley Lucas.
Here.
Here. Right, we do have a quorum. I am going to share the agenda that was distributed as soon as I can figure out. Share my screen, okay. All right, so here is the agenda as it was distributed on Monday, January 16th. Are there any objections to adopting the agenda as shown on the screen share? All right, seeing none, the agenda is adopted, and we can go right into our first order of business, which is approval of the meeting minutes for the November 17th regular meeting. Are there any corrections to the meeting minutes drafts? All right, seeing none, those are approved. You can go ahead and proceed to reports from the district, if you would, Tom.
Well, we're wrapping up one year, starting another one. With I mean, we're getting through it, but with a new controller, her first year in process, so it's taking a little more time than normal, but we're getting through it. Don't anticipate that we'll have any issues meeting reporting deadlines and stuff, so it should be fine there. Beyond that, do have getting interviews scheduled for the waste production specialist position next week. We'll see how that goes and where we come out of that interview process. Don't know that there's a whole lot. I mean, you have the rebranding proposal already on your agenda. Don't know that there's really a whole lot locked down by year-end process. So trying to get things here. That's both of our our time right now. So, if anybody has any questions about anything, happy to fill in information or answer questions.
Any questions on the report? I do want to ask, how many applicants are there for the waste reduction position, or how many do you plan on scheduling?
How many are we considering for interviews?
Yeah, that's the better way to do this.
We have 5 or 6 that we'll be extending an interview invitation to.
Cool. All right, thank you for that. Go ahead and go on to the chair updates or reports. One of the changes actually with the start of the new year, we have a new county council appointee to the board, who is Jeff McKim, who is replacing Cheryl Munson. Jeff McKim was also nominated the new chair of the board at the January meeting. So that will be a little bit different in terms of board operation.
I should have said that, but I will let for some of the newer CAC members, Jeff McKim previously served on the solid waste board until 7 or 8 years ago. So anyway, so it's not completely foreign to him, and obviously a lot has happened in that time, but he does understand the district and what it does and how it works.
That's great. Yeah, it's very good. So that was, I guess, board changes, and as far as CAC changes, excuse me, we did have reappointments, and there were actually 2 members who did not request to be reappointed for this year. So Lily Kleinlein and Andrew Manley are no longer members. And then also the board did follow through with the review of Nelson Schaefer's membership and decided not to reappoint him as well. So I believe everyone appointed is present except for John Arnold. And then I also want to note that we have our newest appointee, Bill Goins. Normally I like to provide an opportunity for new members to introduce themselves or have a word if you're interested, but there's no obligation to.
Okay. My name is Bill Goins. I'm with Webkey Waste and Recycling. moved to Bloomington in January of last year. Lived just outside of Bloomington, off of 45. Everybody knows where Birch Road is. It's a little town called Stanford.
Oh, yeah.
Love the area. This is just, it's gonna be a rough winter as it was last year. But it's only 2 months. It seemed like it's half the year and the summer flies by. There's so much to do in this area. My wife and I absolutely love it. Wish we would have moved out here when our kids were still younger. But we're really excited to be coming into this area. I know Rumpke as a company is really excited to be coming into this area. We're opening a new facility. As soon as it opens, anyone that wants to tour, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to show you what we're doing. We'll be doing some really good things on recycling. So I'm hoping we can, I looked at the solid waste district's 5-year plan. And I'm really hoping we can start pushing some of the recycling in this area. It's not as robust as what I've seen in some other parts of the nation. So and that's pretty much it. I'm really excited to be a part of this. I'm really wanting to be involved in the community that we live in now, and I'm thankful for the opportunity.
Cool. Thank you. And welcome.
Yeah.
I'm one of the county traffic commissioners as well. Do you have any problem with the traffic plan that we put together for you out there?
No, we do not. Everything looks really good. I know we're working on getting the passing blister constructed right there when you Victor Pike. We have a company picked for that. It's right now we're just having just your normal delays that you have anytime you're building the project that's big.
Excellent. I am excited to have you. I'm glad to hear about your enthusiasm for promoting recycling as well. And we'll definitely take up your offer to tour the facility.
Yeah.
I would love to see it. And I think there are a few more of us here who would too. So I think we can maybe organize a trip out of it once the time is ready.
Okay, great.
Cool. So thank you.
Yeah, I may be out there twice.
So that is it for reports from the chair. Any other questions? All right, cool. So we have no reports from special committees. Well, yeah, we have the district rebranding vendor quotes later in new business, but that's really the only thing that's happening with that group. So we can go on to our special orders because it's our first regular meeting of the year. We have a few housekeeping things to take care of. The first of which is going to be officer elections, which I'm going to put the process for the screen share as well. Just to get everybody familiar. I say semi-formal. It's not strictly formal, but there's a little bit of structure to it to just help make it easy and organized. So we're going to fill the office positions in the order of chair, vice chair, and then secretary. Anybody can nominate anybody else, including themselves. The nomination must be accepted by the nominee, which is logical. And then we'll do all of the nominations before we take a vote. We'll do a roll call vote for each nomination or for each of the nominees. And then the winner will be the one who has at least a majority of the votes of members present. And then the only alternative to that whole process is if there is an existing slate of nominations where one person is nominated for each position, we can just vote on the slate altogether rather than doing them one at a time. So there's also, we can also just have a discussion about the positions and expression of interest or thoughts as well. So we can open the floor to that. If there's anybody who wants to make any nominations for any of the positions, actually, I guess maybe starting with chair.
I nominate you for chair, her for vice chair, and him for secretary.
All right.
Me for member.
It matters of record that we nominate be done by name.
So just have to clarify who him is.
In her and that one. Joseph for chair. And Ryan for vice chair. And the other Ryan isn't it? For secretary.
Okay. So there's a slate of nominations. I would accept the nomination.
And I would expect a nomination.
I don't know if I can
Okay,
accept the nomination. But I wanted to check in though. It's just because I don't know how. Well, I mean, even when I'm attending by Zoom, I guess it's still.
I can always forward, whoever the secretary is, I generally forward the meeting recording to them after the meeting concludes for purposes of doing the minutes and verifying the minutes.
Is it possible if I had an alternate maybe in case something come up?
I was gonna say, for today's meeting notes, I was gonna. Do that if it works, so since Lily's no longer with us,
right.
and I know that's part of my role. It's kind of to be a backup for. Minutes. I would be okay with that.
Maybe we can ask, are there any other nominations or interests in the secretary role? Anyone who has capacity or willingness to serve? And
Not at this time.
okay,
I've done it a bunch.
and one thing I'll note that's pertinent that actually we did on the Commission on Sustainability, which I was just recently chairing, we put into the bylaws the options to have co-secretaries, where at least I think it was, or is it this body?
This body has had co-secretary.
Yes, I'm mistaken. So I was just looking at the elections. If we look at officers. Co-chairs and the Commission on Sustainability, that's why.
I also would not want to deprive Mr. Arnold of the opportunity.
Page 5 of the packet,
Because he had been.
under secretary, it does say co.
That might be
Okay.
Okay.
That option.
Yes. I'm surprised she's not here tonight.
There it is. Thank you. Looking at the just bylaws themselves. So indeed, under,
Oh, really?
it's under required officers and roles. There's co-secretaries and additional co-secretaries may be appointed at any regular meeting.
Oh,
So if he were to be followed here at the next meeting, we can still nominate him as a co-secretary.
Right.
So you still have no obligation to accept the nomination.
I don't want to accept and then not fulfill my.
Would that change anyone else's stance on potentially participating in a secretary, like co-secretary role? If, say, there were 2 or 3 co-secretaries, you could only be responsible for 1/2 or 1/3 of the meetings. That is still an option. I could be these
Question information, so. In the co-secretary model, if like for a stretch of time. I can't perform that duty. Could John or we don't have to like alternate one for one.
correct.
So here I am, I'm not like course, John or.
He did it before I did it, right?
So.
I don't think that the bylaws don't seem to, mandate the division of duty.
Okay.
I think that is determined by the co-secretaries, the breakdown of who does what when.
It actually does, so it does say, the office may be shared among multiple members who collectively uphold the responsibilities of the office with an arrangement of their choosing.
There you
So
go.
it's designed to be however you want to do it.
Sign me up. You signed me up already. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
All right, so we have a nomination for a slate of officers. Are there any other nominations? All right, seeing none, we can call the question. If you would, well, actually, we can do a voice vote, because we have no virtual members. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, so the slate of nominees passes, so I will,
Unanimously.
indeed, I will serve as chair and my absence. My colleague as secretary. We'll check in with John Arnold at the next meeting. Yes. To see if he's interested in co-secretary. All right, very good. So we can go on to our second special order, which is setting the 2023 meeting schedule. That's in section 5(1)(8). 5(1)(b). So Yeah, essentially, we have been doing historically 5:15 PM on the third Thursday of the month. That's generally, I assume, what people will continue to be available for, but we can arrange it to be anything that we so choose. I am partial to the third Thursday, given the way it falls with the district's board and executive committee meetings, because that puts a week between the board meetings and the CAC meetings. And keeps them on the same day, just for me in attending those things. Time can be flexible, as Paul had mentioned, we have been starting at 5:15. That's on the edge of his earliest, or yeah, a little bit before his availability. I presume you would like to do those remaining meetings at 5:30?
I would.
Okay.
I walked in here tonight at 5:20 and I didn't even go to work today, so
Sure. Would you like to make a motion?
I would move that we continue our meetings for the third Thursday at 5:30 PM monthly.
Second. There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay. All right. Any thoughts or input? Any objections? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Right, so we will be holding our meetings on the third Thursday, now at 5:30.
Thank you.
Indeed, thank you all. Oh, our last item, that's a special order, is, let's see, Article 1, Section 4, Part B. It is. So we have on or before January 31st of each year, the CAC shall file a report of its activities and expenditures for the prior calendar year. I anticipate putting that together and want to just see if there are any other members who are interested in participating in that process. I'll note that last year, I believe it was me, I think it was Rondi, Andrew, and I who had worked on that. So we have like what I would call a template already together. So I imagine it will be less of a load this year, but if anybody wants to participate, you're welcome to. No obligation. It will be manageable.
I'd be interested.
Okay.
If I can.
Oh, yeah, glad to. Myself. Reach out to you, just coordinate when we do that. Okay, very good. Back to our agenda, that takes care of all of our special reports, which is very exciting. So thank you all for that. And
Are we setting meetings or time frame, et cetera, for our highway pickup now, or do we do that later on?
usually later on, I think, kind of weather dependent and gosh. Dependent on whomever wants to drive that organization. So if you want to, I can add it to next month's agenda, or we can see if we still have an opportunity for new business at the end of the
No, I
month.
think we've been doing it May, does that sound, or March or May, does that sound about right, Tom?
Yeah, spring is historically, when the group has done a cleanup. Of course, you're always welcome to do as many per year as you.
Yeah, I was driving past, or driving on Rockport Road past the Highlands this week. My goodness, that needs a serious cleanup.
So I will make a note to add that either we'll see if we have an opportunity to add it to new business in this meeting, or if not, I think we'll add it to our next meeting if that works for you.
Yeah,
We can at least discuss a potential time or who wants to take one out. I see it. So the first item of new business that we have is that for the CAC, it would be resolution 2023-01. And it is because the district last week passed resolution 2023-02. which is an update to replace the original resolution 90-1, which establishes the Citizens Advisory Committee. So there are a few new, I guess, a few changed items and a couple of new items to between the old version and the new version, and our bylaws referenced the old version. So we will have to make some changes to reference the new version. And that is in the packet page. Give me, I have a lot of files open. Page 9. Oops. And so hopefully you'll have the opportunity to review, but I can put up on the screen share. The main edits are striking previous references to resolution 90-1. And one note that I'll make is anywhere the contents of resolution of the, I guess, the new board resolution establishing the CAC is also referenced by Indiana State Code that defines the CAC. I only referenced the code citing and not the district's resolution, only because there's been a lot more of what was cited in the code added to the district's establishment of the CAC. So rather than citing both of them everywhere it takes place, I only cited the district's references where it has content that is not present in the state code. I just wanted to make you all aware of that and get feedback on that if there's,
That's what it looked like to me
okay,
when I reviewed it.
yeah. So just to see if there's anybody who took a different opinion in terms of also referencing the new district's resolution establishing the CAC.
I apologize to you. Your bylaws never crossed my mind.
Oh.
Doing that resolution.
That's fine. And honestly, the reason I took this approach was just because it was, I think it would avoid that in the future where they're both referenced in the same place, and also just simplify the number of changes and the amount of referencing that happens in our bylaws.
Yeah, the citation is,
Okay,
I'm just going through and double checking that all looks. The updates needed look to be there.
good. Yeah, one of the new items is a new requirement of the CAC, and that is to participate in any review and revision of the solid waste management plan that was not previously defined in the 90-1 resolution. We also no longer have a minimum number of members, which was previously 7. We now just have a maximum of 15. Location of that changed. Sorry, by that I mean the terms, it's expiration of terms. And then another note saying that the committee shall meet regularly at an interval that is defined by the CAC, and that also allows the committee to provide to the board in a timely manner and an efficient manner any and all reports, comments, and or information requested by the board. So that was per the new resolution. What I took the opportunity to add myself in rereading this was just a specification of regular meetings for the time that we set our meetings. So at the initial, it originally said at the initial meeting of the year, which could have been a special meeting or a joint board of directors meeting, but I just wanted to clarify that this is for our initial regular meeting. And also that we will be setting the regular meeting dates and not all meeting dates, because again, if they're the budget meeting or the joint meetings with the board, those are scheduled circumstantially when the time comes. Eve, that is the last change. So we can also entertain any other changes if anybody had any thoughts or anything came to mind while they were reviewing them, but these are the proposed changes for our resolution, which would be 2023-01 to update our bylaws to reflect the district's new resolution establishing the CAC. Any questions on that so far? Okay.
I would just for the committee's information and benefit, and this is not really relevant to the bylaws per se, but one other change that the board's resolution did do was formally appoint the executive director as an ex officio member. In the 20 years I've been at the district, where the district director has always served as an ex officio member on the CAC, but it was specified in the resolution that that would be the case. It just allowed the board to appoint ex officio members as they fit. But I thought since that's always what we've done, we would, I guess, officially make that distinction for the executive director, while still allowing the board to appoint other ex officio members as they deem appropriate.
Glad you mentioned that because I actually had a note that I did not include parts B or C from the district's new resolution, which is on the executive director ex officio and the additional ex officio membership appointment. Because I didn't think those are pertinent to the CEC bylaws. Just wanted to make sure that. Okay.
Ex officio members are non-voting members, and so we don't count toward a quorum. We don't count toward a vote. We're just
Your attendance count.
Yeah, right?
either create a mess or clean a mess up.
Hopefully we have a good balance of each of those. Okay. So I would be open to a motion. Actually, I'll show the introduction to, this is the wrong one, forgive me.
I like how you went through and highlighted and struck through
Good.
and highlighted the new
Excellent.
replacement.
Share, okay. So to share. So this is the actual content of the resolution. It just references the amended bylaw files that we reviewed. So this was included in the packet as well. I just wanted to put this up and I will entertain a motion to adopt these if anybody's willing.
Motion to adopt.
Right. There is a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Very good.
Yeah, there's supposed to be a sheet like the county commissioners have that we have to sign our names somewhere.
Indeed. Actually, you know what? I may have to. Track that. I think we may have to have a first and second reading before we can adopt the resolution.
Only if your bylaws state.
That's what I'm looking for right now. Yeah, you know what? I have to do. This would be more of a do adopt vote. Reading the proposed changes during at least two regularly scheduled meetings, a 2/3 majority, submission to the district board of directors and review by legal counsel. Okay.
So. Sorry.
Please.
No, I think that, and that's fine. And it probably. The way that we've done things historically, the board should probably review the resolution that CAC is considering adopting, so. So if we want to amend the motion as a do adopt at the next reading, then we can get the resolution included in the meeting packet for the next board meeting in February. And then, and I don't see why them or legal would have any issues with what's in there. And then it comes back here in February and you guys can officially adopt it. August to sign his name.
Name already has.
So.
Yeah, these waste people are.
Motion to amend the previous motion to a do adopt would be in order.
So moved.
Right.
So seconded.
Motion in a second. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Very good. Thank you. So we will indeed forward these to the board and to legal counsel for review. It will come back to us for our for our February meeting, and then we will actually vote to approve them. Forgive my quick decision.
And of course, the board has the right to change it, correct?
That is only if it is incongruent with any applicable statute, does not align with the district's mission, or does not uphold the district's core values. which I firmly believe these all do.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think there's no substantive changes. They're just updates based on the resolution that they passed. So there'd be no reason for them to have any objection.
Yep. All right. So that will conclude our first order of business. The second is a district 5-year waste management plan review. So this was requested by previous chair Cheryl Munson as just a good practice to, at the start of the year, review our 5-year plan, which we are now going to be into year 2, a little over, well, yeah, we'll be starting year 2 of, if I'm not mistaken. So hopefully everyone had the opportunity to review that. It was also in the packet. And I will just pull it up here for reference. I mean, the whole plan is 23 pages. Most of the, I guess the part that I think bears review is the goals and objectives, which are the things that we are primarily working on, since the rest of the content, the estimates and the current status, let's see, yeah, current haulers and estimates are all consistent and not part of our objectives. So I think maybe just a quick look.
Can I interject?
Please, yes.
Just, so that we're all aware, going here, the facilities in the hall, well, the haulers won't change because Rumpke's already here. But there will be a new facility opening up in the next few months, which does modify some of the aspects of the plan. And I might also suggest that in addition to the goals and objectives, as part of any regular review, the haulers, facilities and all of that, and that's stuff that staff will keep track of and do, but the solid waste management policy might be something that needs to change and adapt over time as circumstances change. And then which is on page 10 of the actual 33 of your packet, page 10 of the plan. And then also solid waste problems might also be something that could change over time.
Thank you for those notes, Tom.
And then one more, and the disposal of specified waste, number 1 is waste tires. That has changed because the district now accepts waste tires.
That does prompt the question, what happens to the 5-year management plan given those changes? There are amendments made to reflect them?
There could be, I mean, and obviously that would be the board's decision. And we're all aware that the district accepts waste tires. That took an action of the board to implement that program and make that happen, changes to our fee schedules. And nobody at this point has discussed that causing anybody to want to revisit or revise the plan. So there's no requirement to do so just because something changed. So from my perspective, it's something to make a note of. And if you have enough things that happen, within that 5-year period of time, that hey, there's a handful of things in the plan that are now outdated because of what's changed, then then the board may want to consider making a change. So, but that being said, it is also in the CAC's purview to recommend to the board, as in what's in the statute and what's in the the resolution that was just passed by the board. And so even if it's just us accepting waste, if the CAC feels that there is enough there that warrants a revision to the plan, you're certainly within your purview to make that recommendation to the board.
Okay. Yeah, on that subject, I'll say I do like the idea of making minor updates to it without it necessarily restarting the 5-year plan timeframe. if that's permitted, or if that's possible. So if we were to just update like the waste problems, the waste tires no longer be one of them, could be stricken. And then once the facility is open, it could also be just added as a list of operating facilities. I feel like those would be pretty, again, non-material changes that would keep the plan at least accurate without resetting any timelines if the board were open to that. Any other thoughts?
I mean, I'll review the statute again, but my recollection, my understanding, there is no requirement to update it because we now start accepting waste tires, but there's also nothing to prohibit us from doing that.
Okay. I believe it was also requested of the board to do a 5-year management plan review. Is that correct? Or that was, I guess,
It was suggested.
Chairperson.
Yes, that was suggested. And that is something that I plan to, I guess not mandating a review, but put on the executive committee agenda. This has been suggested. Is it something that you want the board to entertain?
Okay.
So
Maybe a decision that the board makes itself.
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, solid waste management policy. Thoughts on how to proceed? Does anyone have any preferences on what we discuss now, what we pick up later? Priorities?
I don't know, my thought is quite down the alley you're thinking there. If we're looking at a 5-year plan and we're in perpetually trying to keep things planned out, it's almost like you have your plan. At the end of the year, you review your plans, you see what worked, what you didn't get done that you wanted to get done, what's going on. And then, okay, that year's gone and now we have a new year into the 5-year plan.
Living document.
A living document.
I see. So it's always going out 5 years.
Yes, it's always going out, so you're always having a 5-year plan. That way it's like taking a herd of cattle from Texas to Montana overland. This is how you plan it. Well, where are we at today? Well, we strayed a little bit. All right, well, then we'll move back over that way. And then what's now 7 days away?
Right. That is an interesting proposal. I hadn't thought about it in those terms. I imagined it would just be a window that we would get to the end of and then start a new 5-year
Yeah.
plan.
It's not like you're not having goals to reach.
Right.
But if I plan my life for the next 10 years, I'm here now, and I want to be over here in 10 years.
They adjust it.
Well, am I dead at the end of that 10 years, or am I going to come up with a new plan, or am I going to try to continually project down the road? I figure I've still got 20 more years to work. I'm 68 right now.
Okay.
It's also less load. Or it's at one time.
Right.
More people that roll on and off the board.
Yeah.
More people can be part of the process instead of like one group of people making plans for 5 years.
Yeah.
We're stuck like, what do we do with it?
What, the school bus? No.
I would, it's an interesting proposition, and it is probably something that's better suited to moving things forward on a continuous basis. But I can say that I don't believe there's any other district in the state that has taken that viewpoint. They're more about looking at a 5-year window, and then we're going to look at the next 5-year window. And I think even the state looks at it that way. But just like we talked earlier about making revisions to it because we now take waste tires, so I don't believe there's anything in the statute that says you can't do that. Okay. I guess what's sitting here going through my mind though is that, and, you know, did we, initially, what was required, the districts were all required when they were formed to a 20-year plan. And then this 5-year plan that, although that we were
A plan.
a little behind, we did it at about a 25 year, but that was the next, you did your 20-year plan. And then we made it through that window, and then everybody was required to do a 5-year plan update. And we, like Brian said, we saw what the undertaking was to get that done. But I'm also sitting here thinking that, to continuously do this on an annual, or that's a lot of work too.
It is, but it's more like just, it's a continual plan revision.
Well, it is.
And some things you're gonna want to kick down the road because it's just not feasible in what you're thinking at the time.
Well, and that's true too. And like, and it's, I guess, technically not a part of the plan because it's in the appendices, where we started laying out timelines and stuff, and now that we're, 6 months, a year, whatever interval we look at this stuff, maybe you start to realize that some timelines aren't realistic. Some are too generous, so we've already got it done. And so, there is a benefit, to doing that on a more regular basis, an annual basis or whatever it is. Just thoughts off the top of my head. It's all up to the board.
Obviously.
I think there certainly are pros to doing them more frequently. And then, there are things that the board doesn't want to deal with on a regular basis. I don't know if this is one of them or not.
Sure.
So, but I like just like with making revisions because of waste tires and a new facility, it's within the CAC's purview to make that recommendation to the board. And if that's what this group decides would be a better path forward, you can say that, you can bring that up to them.
Yeah. What actually came to my mind, oh, sorry, do you have a question, please? I was just going to, I was thinking, we also have, I put strategic planning on one of the new business items, and in particular, a note for joint board meetings. So I was thinking about having an early year joint meeting with the board, as I guess at their next availability, kind of was what I had in mind. And I feel like that might be a good opportunity to sit down actually with the board and propose that, or maybe propose it beforehand, and then discuss it with them. Even if they're open to it, try it once. And if it seemed like it was a cumbersome process and they didn't like it, we can say, okay, we tried that, let's stick with the 5-year plan. Or we can at least have an experience with, okay, it wasn't that bad, or it was that bad, and then make a decision from there. If the board is open to it, of course, proposing it to the board, seeing if they want to go through it with us. And then if they do, we can see how it looks. Please.
And just to add to that, we can demonstrate to them like what we're thinking of, just even shorthand, like going through the plan, like we said, like striking out the waste tire thing, right? And to show them that it might not be a lot of work if we just, oh, that one just gets deleted. I mean, and if we think of something that needs to replace it, then we add it as a proposal. And then if nobody likes it, then we don't do it. So then it doesn't sound like it's like, well, we're gonna do it every year, once maybe at the beginning, and that sounds like another, like, oh, we have to learn this. But if it's simple and we just show them how simple it is too, that might help convince them that it might be a low lift, like a light lift.
Yeah, agreed.
I just, you mentioned, the joint meeting and stuff, and, the statute requires the board and the CAC to have 2 joint meetings a year. Historically, we have always done one as part of the budget review process. But we've never had, a specific idea, that the second one's going to be this. And, and you can do more than 2, you just have to do at least 2. And if the suggestion was made to do an annual review of the plan, and if that's what this group wants to do and what the board wants to do, that would be another ideal situation for a joint meeting to do that annual review together.
Yeah, at least you got more eyes and ears looking at it or
right?
having input, make sure it's going the way we want it to go.
Should we formalize it as a recommendation?
So
Okay. Second. All right, motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, so. So I guess maybe.
No, even the stopwatch is where twice a day. It's a 12-hour watch and it's analog. And I'm analog.
To restate the motion then, that is to propose a joint meeting with the board for a review of the 5-year management plan. And proposing an annual revision or a rolling plan. Cool. For the scope of this meeting now, for our review of the 5-year plan. That. We have, I guess what I'd say is 15 more minutes in our regularly scheduled time. Imagine reviewing. All of it would take more than that time. Shall we?
Continue to the next meeting.
Yeah. Table further review now. In order to. Reconvene the potential board meeting. Or to. Review between meetings and discuss at our subsequent meeting.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah, especially given this new possibility.
right. Okay. Is there a motion for so? Is there a second?
Second.
All right, so there's a motion, a second to table discussion of the 5-year management plan for our February regular meeting. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All righty.
I think that's a wise decision, because you're gonna take this to the board, their response to that may dictate what direction your review goes.
Right. Thank you, everybody. We can move right on to, this will be our second to last item of new business. And that is the district rebranding vendor quotes. I just wanted to take the opportunity to make you all aware and to show you briefly the content that there is. Give me 1 second to share it. So there was a call for proposals from marketing consultants for assisting with the rebranding process. There were 3 responses, one from Lambert Consulting, one from 1031 Marketing, and one from Two Hill Consulting. So the content of all of their responses, including their example materials, was included as an attachment to the announcement email because it was large, so it was stayed out of the packet. But I will add an update that at last week's board meeting, it was reduced down to a decision between Lambert Consulting and 1031 because the Two Hill Consulting response was much less thorough than the other two. And it was also noted that their website itself was also not particularly impressive. So perhaps worthy of making a decision on itself. So I just wanted to see if anyone here has experience with or feedback on either of the Lambert or 1031 marketing consultants in terms of moving forward with the rebranding process.
Well, Lambert, I believe, is the billboard people.
He's done some, he's not. He doesn't put them up, he designs.
Okay.
Or I guess he's done some billboard design for some client.
But
Local, I know Lambert.
yeah, I've never heard of the other one.
All five of the ones I requested are county-based companies. Can I add?
Please.
So, and I'll add, so in addition to eliminating Two Hill, the board did ask for some additional information from Lambert and 1031, which at this point they have both provided. So that will all be funneled through the executive committee, and I would anticipate those two proposals with the additional information be presented to the board at the February meeting, and hopefully they can make a decision so we can move forward.
Going to quick change my share to I guess I should have gotten the one that you prepared from your packet, Tom, but this was just I did a comparison between some of the.
I can pull mine up, the table that I showed at the meeting.
That would be great, yes. I guess I'll point out in the meantime, the cost difference between Lambert and 1031.
Stop your share.
Yes. Was 12,500 for Lambert and 14,000 for 1031. And it was remarked by Chairperson McKim that the cost difference is negligible given the lifespan of the project. So the board considered them equivalent. But Tom also put together a bit more comparable items between the three proposals.
So now, I mean, and looking at that, so specifically, the board asked, Lambert Consulting to provide a timeline. They were the only one that did not do that. They asked 1031 to provide some sort of a fee at whatever interval they felt hourly, flat or whatever, to do additional work beyond the scope of the proposal. And then they what's not in there, they also kind of went a little above and beyond what's in the request, but looking more broad term at this about the impact changes that it could have on our website and what the company's ability is to develop or to modify the existing website and or develop a new website and host that site. And for transparency's sake, Lambert Consulting did develop our current website and currently hosts that site.
Is that what the little thing on there beside the check mark means?
I don't know what that is.
The website update plan.
Well, it's gone now.
It's just the cursor.
Hey, not only is it my hearing, my eyes aren't doing as great either.
I will note, I guess based on the example material that both of them provided, I thought they were both of very high quality. I did have the opportunity to collaborate with Lambert Consulting and their web developer on the new site, and I had a very positive experience with that as well. So they were very open, very receptive, very responsive. Yeah, and I think received invited direction even. So it wasn't like their idea takeover. They were really interested in a collaborative effort, and I thought it went really well.
And and they did not provide a website update plan, and I think that's because when the current site was developed, we all knew rebranding was coming, and I don't know how many times that Joe and I said, but this is going to change and that's going to change. And so they're, they developed the site being prepared for all of this stuff to come down the road.
I also feel that they did a very good job, and it's very neutral in that there's opportunity to just plug in logos and colors very simply. It's all very, well tied together and adapted for that sort of change. Those are my thoughts.
Their work was the best.
Okay. Lambert's.
Yeah.
Either one.
Their work looks the best to me. It looks sharpest.
$1,500 cheaper than other.
Yeah.
If they're both reputable
Yeah.
companies.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't think that, I don't think this was a bad choice there. Whichever direction the board decides to go, I will, the city has experience with 1031. 1031 did the Go Bloomington website, yeah, the Go Bloomington website. And I can't specifically remember, I did, one of the departments recently, they helped them with a marketing campaign or something, I think. So, but at any rate, you know, on the board, having both city and county representation, there's experience with both companies on the board.
just for reference, this is the Go Bloomington site. So any particular recommendations that anyone would like to make? Or is it just sort of a neutral, slightly?
Neutral. I will throw out that, I mean, at the board meeting, I was asked for a recommendation, and I recommended, you know, Lambert Consulting, and with the caveat that really was based solely on a comfort level, because I've worked with them before. I know what I'm getting. And so it was nothing against 1031 or Two Hill for that matter. You know, I didn't see enough differences between the proposals to say, you know, this one stands out for sure. So for me, it came back to, you know, a comfort level in an existing relationship.
Yeah, like I said, I think they both look really good. I don't know that I feel strongly enough to say, you know, I really hope it's this one or that one, but just wanted to give everyone the opportunity to weigh in. Seems like there's a general lean for Lambert.
I don't really have any experience with websites. I don't look at them. I don't have one.
Okay. Well, in that case, if anyone on the board happens to ask, I can describe the general sentiment. It was a slight lean toward Lambert, but we're satisfied with either option. Right, that was it for the district rebranding quotes. And then we only have about 3 minutes left in our scheduled time. The last item on the agenda for new business is strategic planning. Like I mentioned, that's kind of around the basis of following the review of the 5-year management plan, just organizing what we hoped to achieve this year, setting kind of our own priorities or areas of focus. May also be something worth tabling if we're going to, you know, have a discussion with the board about a rolling plan strategy. Or we could, if anybody has any clear thoughts or ideas right now on what they want to focus on this year, we can certainly note those down as well. Open to the board.
That's a good one to start with, because it's. First item on the strategic plan for the year is to have this meeting before and hear what they have to say about what we wanted, what we'd like them to consider.
Yeah.
Also, I would like to be part of it, but I need to leave at our regular scheduled time. Cause I gotta get back on the letter.
You and your toys.
And I suppose it's still not too early to start thinking about what we want to do for the county fair this year.
Doing that.
We plan to be, the district plans to be present. We would always welcome any CAC volunteers to help staff our booth table, whatever.
I took a bunch of the Go Green District bags from our booth here at the county fair, and I passed them out where I was campaigning.
Saw you, yes.
Nice.
And I felt it important for people to know that, yes, I'm over here, but I'm also campaigning for us here too. You know, so that they can see, you know, hey, you know, this guy is actually interested in things. So if that's a reflection of partisan politics, so be it. Yeah, the opposition is equally welcome to do the same.
Right, any other thoughts, strategic planning? Anyone else? All right. Well, that is the last item on our agenda, for new business. Do you want to provide an opportunity for public comment? We have cats on the meeting.
Yeah, anybody else there?
Okay, nobody else virtually, nobody in the room. I guess that's it for the public. If anyone were here, they would have 4 minutes to speak. In case they want to do so in the future after watching this recording. I'm sure many people will. And with that, that brings us to the end of our meeting. If there is no objection, we will adjourn. All right, seeing none, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.